Hey folks, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge. It's Fixed Blade Friday, and what do we have? We've got a Ganzo fixed blade for you. If it looks familiar, that's because in general, it looks very much like the earlier fixed blades that they did. The G801, the G802. Today we've got the G803, the newest version. This time we've got the best steel of the bunch, and it's a nice fixed blade. They're calling it a survival knife. Yeah, I think it fits that category just fine. Outdoorsman, camping, survival, bushcrafty type of knife. It's a big fixed blade, 8CR13 MOV steel, and China is doing 8CR13 MOV quite well. It's a Chinese steel to start with, but it's not a crappy Chinese steel. It's a good, solid stainless steel in the budget category. We've got sort of TPE-ish handle scales, the gray section, harder plastic in the black section. And then we've got the coated steel blade. And this time, they made the knife able to be taken apart again, which is good because they all come coated, and some people don't like coated blades. So you can take this thing apart and easily, well, not easily, but you can take off the coating and have it clean up very well around the handle, because you clean up the whole thing, you put it back together, and nobody will be able to see right at the edges where you were, working hard to take the coating off. So that's a really good thing. They come in 4 different colors, and I'll show you a picture of that right now. If you want to know any more, and I think you do, stick around for the full review. I will not be doing any outdoor cutting with this. It's been a very messy, wet kind of fall right now, the last few weeks. So I'm not doing this stuff outside. Let's talk about the sheath before we get on to anything else. I got this from GearBest. Thank you very much, GearBest, for sending this knife to me to review. I made a modification, and that is because GearBest, for some reason, and I won't try to explain why, I don't understand it, ships this knife without a ferro rod. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. If you look carefully at the pictures, they all show them without the ferro rod. So if you assume that it's coming with the ferro rod, you've made a mistake, because they don't say that it comes with a ferro rod and they don't show a ferro rod. It'd be nice if they would say explicitly that it doesn't come with it, because if you look at the manufacturer's website, you can see the ferro rod. I got this off of one of my charade knives. It's a 6mm thick stick. GearBest has several 6mm thick ferro rods, and I will give you links to those in the description below. What I did was I took a drill bit and I just drilled a just over 6mm hole through the top into this hole. So that hole there is more like 8.5mm. It's a thicker hole, but now the ferro rod that I have fits through there. I've got shot cord. There's this piece of steel that comes with this ferro rod. And what I do is, before the ferro rod's all the way through the hole, just barely there, I wrap it around and the ferro rod comes up, and now it's being held in place. This will not come loose and fall loose. It'll just hang there. It could get snagged on something, potentially and stuff. It's not a perfect solution, but this is a good solution if you want to carry a ferro rod with this knife system. Not bad. You've got a pair of blades in here that form a V for a cutting edge. You can unscrew that to take it apart if you wanted to sharpen those blades at all. So it's a nice little cutter there. You can use that as a seatbelt cutter in an emergency. You can cut cordage with it. Here I've got some paracord right there, and it just cuts it so very easily. You don't even have to think, and it's already cut. It just cuts great. So that's a good little addition. Back here, if you take this Velcro off, It's just a piece of Velcro that slides underneath. And now you've got a sharpening stone. Be careful if you're going to use this sharpening stone. I don't recommend that you use this sharpening unless you absolutely have to. And that is because as you're sharpening, if you run into those screws, you're going to hurt your blade because they are higher than this surface. You're going to run into them eventually. So it's a good idea. It's not a good execution of the idea. And so I would rather that they just got rid of this altogether. And on mine, I just ignore that it's there. I might take it apart and screw it on the other way so I don't have a rough edge here. So it just has a smooth edge. And then I can just throw away this. Or I might just take it off altogether if I decide to keep it, and then I don't have to have that there either. You've got this nice loop screwed into place. You've got Torx screws there. Great big loop, this Cordura type fabric. It's a nice stiff fabric. You can fit any belt through there that you want to, that you can imagine, and that's going to hold your belt on. There's no funny thing down here with a hole to tie around your leg. It's much too short of a knife to have that. So there you go. Blade retention is pretty good. I'm going to try to keep that out of the way here. There we go. If you can listen to this, it has a pretty good clip. Doesn't really make much noise. You've got two of these reflective zones that you've seen on, not reflective, luminescent zones that you've seen on other Ganzo knives. They're not all that bright. If you leave this out in direct sunlight in the middle of the day and then put it into pitch black darkness, yes, they will shine a little bit. If you want one of these knives that is very easy to find if you drop it, get one of the colors that's bright, like the orange. I think the orange just has orange here on the pommel end and the finger guard part, and not here. The green has this main section here to luminescent, not luminescent green, but it sort of looks like it is. You can also get this in a tan kind of coyote. So you've got your options for how you want this to look. One other thing about the sheath is that you've got this strap up here, and it's just hook and loop. I would have really appreciated if they would have put a snap on there. Now, I believe that this knife is probably not made by Ganzo at the Ganzo factory, because you can find this exact same styling with different brand names on it, and several different brands. It's kind of like their axe. You know, their axe looks just like some other axes that are out in the marketplace. It's just the way it is. So I think they get this made somewhere else. Also, if this was made at the Ganzo factory, you'd think it had 440C steel, right? Instead of 8CR13 MOV. And the previous version, the 802, has 7CR17. So this is an upgrade from that. So I really like 8CR13 MOV. It's a really nice steel. You've got a great big belly here that you can use this, to do some skinning if you need to. You've got a forward choil to sneak up if you want to cut. You've got a ground area here, so you've got a 90-degree spine for your ferro rod to, send sparks flying if you want to. Not a problem at all. You can send sparks flying from this edge already. You don't really need this, but with this, it's that much better. You've got holes in here, so you can tie it onto a stick if you want a spear. Those of you who have not seen my opinion on that, I think that's pretty silly. I would rather use this knife and sharpen a piece of stick, make the tip of it really sharp and pointy. Then you've got a spear and a knife. You've got two tools instead of just one. I don't think it's a smart idea to tie a knife onto a stick. It's a good system. Let's talk about the specs of this knife. We've got this drop point blade. We've got a cutting edge of 10.3 centimeters, right around 4 inches, and that's measured straight across from the sharpness choil to the tip, diagonally across there, 4 inches. Blade length, so from the handle to the tip of the blade, 11.2 centimeters, 4.4 inches. The blade thickness is just shy of 5 millimeters. It's 4.75 millimeters. That's 0.187 inches. That's robust. That's very nice. You've got this thickness of the edge behind the grind here. It's actually 0.85 millimeters, which is 0.034 inches. A very thick, strong cutting edge behind the grind. It's not going to roll or chip or anything easily. Yes, all those things can happen. I'm not guaranteeing that it won't, but it won't do those things easily. It's got a nice strength behind it there. Let's talk about the handle. The handle length, I'm not counting this last little pommel section. They're calling it a glass breaker. I don't know if I would call that a glass breaker. We'll talk about it later. But the handle length right here is 12.6 centimeters, almost exactly 5 inches. The grip area behind this guard here to the end, 10.8 centimeters, 4.25 inches. The handle thickness at the thickest spot is 1.8 centimeters, which is 0.71 inches. Total length of this knife, and now I'm including this little end piece here to the tip of the blade, is 24.3 centimeters. Oops, I didn't get what that is in inches. So I'll put that on the screen right here. The weight of this knife, 198 grams, 7 ounces. The weight of this knife with the sheath, and I weighed it including my ferro rod, and this thing is a good 1.5 ounces, maybe up to 2 ounces. I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'll put that on the screen, what the weight this is. But together with this ferro rod, 371 grams, 13.1 ounces. That's the knife. I like this knife for the price. What is the price? $33.18 Canadian, $26.13 US, 22.33 euros, 19.97 pounds. 20 pounds for this, not bad at all. And you get everything except for the ferro rod, which is too bad, but it's not a deal breaker for me. At $33 Canadian for a good solid knife, not a bad price at all. Now, this pommel here can be taken apart. I'll show you what that looks like. When I put this back together, I did use a temporary thread locker so that it's not going to come loose at all. So I like that disassembly is possible. What if you get blood in here and stuff, you've used it for hunting and stuff and you want to clean it up and stuff, you can do that. That's a good thing. Otherwise, you'll always have a little bit of that blood inside that edge there. This is the most comfortable of all three of the Ganzo knives. It's more comfortable, in my opinion, than the G801 and G802. It's got the best sheath of them all as well. I like the sheath better than those. It's got a better steel than those. It's got better attention to detail. More comfortable in the hand. I really like these three, your main choil, and you've got an index finger choil. And, it's how it gets thinner back here. It's just very well laid out. Jimping. You can hold this knife in any way that you want. I've got large hands that border on extra large. And look at all the extra room we've got. You can hold this knife up here if you want lots of extra reach on it. Any kind of grip you want, you can sneak up and use the knife that way. You can, give yourself reach. However you want to hold this knife. Backhand with the blade towards yourself. Put your thumb over the pommel. Any way that you want to hold this knife. If you want to do some delicate work, you can sneak up, hold this knife. You've got that thick spine to grab onto. You've got a strong tip here. And it cuts well. I was cutting off pretty good chunks, and you've got a really nice smooth edge where you cut on it. This is a good knife. And you can do feather sticks with it if you wanted to as well. It cuts paper just fine, straight from the factory, no problem at all. The blade, let's give it a little bit more. I've got 9-strand paracord here. Yes, 9-strand paracord. And there's 4 layers of it. Let's get it up over here. 4 layers of 9-strand paracord, and it just zips through it like it's not even there. Okay, more than it's not there, but, you know, not very hard at all to zip through that. Not very hard at all to cut through, you know, 4 layers of 9-strand of paracord. It makes those pieces go flying like popcorn. Good knife. I like this knife for the price. I'm not giving this one up. I'm keeping it. If you want one, get your own. If you like this video, even if you don't necessarily like this knife, please hit the thumbs up. Please share this video with somebody who's looking for a nice fixed blade. Maybe you're looking for a Christmas gift for somebody. Yes, this thing borrowed from Gerber's Bear Grylls kind of looks. That's what they took for their styling cues. Yeah, I know that. Everybody knows that. And, you know, it's a good knife. They chose a reasonably good looking knife to do it. And although they put Ganzo here on the handle and Ganzo here on the blade, it's a little more than I like. Firebird down there, it's okay. I think I'm probably going to end up stripping the blade, so I've just got a nice satin blade. That's going to look so good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. And I do try to answer all the comments, although I'm not quite as quick to answer them as I once was. Remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.